So when I look at any type of stress, I always look at the foundational physiology. Because if you take someone's physiology and you throw it off kilter, like for instance, the easiest stressor to put someone under acutely is just don't sleep for a night. And then let me just kind of, you know, see you in the morning and list out all my problems and complaints and stressors that you have to then deal with. Well, you're going to have problems being able to take that information in and be able to execute. So we have to look at the foundational physiology. So the first thing is sleep. I mean, if you can just get 8 to 10 hours, 8 hours of sleep and get to bed on the other side of midnight, that sets your physiology up in regards to recycling your neurotransmitters, having a good, healthy cortisol awakening response, that circadian rhythm where cortisol is higher in the morning and lower at night. So then you have this inverse melatonin cortisol ratio where your cortisol drops at night, your melatonin goes up. And then, of course, making sure the food is nutrient dense, good proteins and fats at each meal, and we're not overdoing the carbs for what our body needs, and it's anti-inflammatory, and we're stabilizing that blood sugar, because people forget one of the biggest stressors on our hormones is that blood sugar fluctuation throughout the day. The more dysglycemia we have, the more our blood sugar goes up and down like a roller coaster. We have to make stress hormones to bring it up and then insulin to bring it down, which then causes us to be in a fat storing mode. And so if we can manage our blood sugar, prevent these dysglycemic swings, we can make sure we have good proteins and fats, stay away from the junky processed fats, and we manage that blood sugar eating every maybe 5 hours or so and getting to bed on time. That sets the foundational physiology. And then we can come in there and biohack and add in other nutrients and stuff as well. Yeah, I mean, again, like with alcohol, like every now and then is having a little bit of alcohol to kind of de-stress. Is it okay? Sure. Choose clean, organic alcohol. Do it after a meal. Maybe have some activated charcoal or some NaC. But that's like at the end. You really want to have the foundational food, the foundational nutrients. Again, if supplementally, the easiest things I'm going to add in, I like to stick to nutrients first. So I'm going to do magnesium. That's a very kind of sedating, calming, supporting nutrient, a mineral. It's going to have 300 enzymatic roles in the body, anywhere from blood sugar to relaxation, to relaxing the heart, to vasodilation, to sleep. Very anti-inflammatory in the brain. So I love magnesium. You can even do it with a magnesium salt, Epsom salt foot bath, which is great too. If you have gut issues, that helps with the absorption. You can be doing theanine, which is an amino acid that helps upregulate and support healthy GABA levels. You can even add in pharma-GABA, maybe a sublingual GABA tablet. That's excellent as well. So magnesium, GABA, theanine, these are excellent things out of the gate from a nutrient standpoint. Yep. And then also ashwagandha I find to be very helpful as well. I'll take that before bed if I need. I'll typically do a magnesium before bed. Ashwagandha can be really good, especially if you're stressed, because that's going to help modulate the high cortisol, but also can help bring up any of the low cortisol as well. So ashwagandha is excellent. You can easily combine that with the rhodiola too. Things like ginseng tend to be a little more stimulating. So things like ashwagandha are going to be great. And even phosphorylated serine. Serine can be very calming. What serine does, it sensitizes the receptor sites on the hypothalamus to cortisol. So there's this natural feedback loop of cortisol circulating in the body. It binds to receptor sites in the brain, and the brain's like, whoa, this is a little bit high. Let's kind of calm down that cortisol secretion. So it helps regulate that cortisol from getting too high. So phosphorylated serine is excellent. Phosphatidylserine is kind of one electron. It's one step in the enzymatic process backwards. So phosphorylated, it's better because it's a little bit more activated in an activated state. So that's excellent. Yeah, the problem is most people, they have issues and they take action, but they're still kind of anxious about what's going on. So it's really important. Action should help with the anxiety. Like the reason why anxiety is there from an evolutionary standpoint is to get you to take action to avoid, I don't know, if someone got in that woods last month and they got eaten by a bear. Well, yeah, when you get near that woods, you should be anxious because your body's hardwired to make you more alert so you don't get eaten by that bear. So you have to understand where the anxiety is coming from. And as long as you're taking actions and you're closing the loop, so to speak, on what that anxiety is coming from, you should feel better about it. And so I always say, whatever the anxieties are, just try to have one or two solutions for each one of those. Then your brain knows, hey, I'm doing something about it. I can turn down that stress response because action is already being taken. So think about that as well. And then also, like you mentioned, hey, if I'm uncertain about my environment, let's get that mold test. If the mold test is positive, let's do at least one thing to make sure that environment gets better. Is there active leaks? Do I see water stains on the ceiling? Is there chronic high level of humidity? Let's work on that. If not, we can always just get in some good air filtration. We can work on fog in that area. Make sure there's no active leaks coming in. Then we're, getting a dehumidifier in there. We're taking active steps, so you shouldn't feel as anxious about that environment because you're starting to make it healthier. I think it's very good. kind of helps calm down the nervous system response. There's different programs out there. I'll put some links down below. Like there's DNRS or the Gupta program. These are excellent programs that involve visualization, maybe some aspects of NLP, where you really work on controlling the thoughts and the images in your brain, whether you do tapping or eye movement, like EMDR, eye movements, desensitization response techniques. These things help calm down that fight or flight response. And then you kind of allow you to be using more of your frontal brain, because the data is when you're in this chronic stressed out state, the amygdala, right, that forebrain or that hindbrain is kind of more active. That's the prehistoric brain that's involved in fight, flight, and that fear response. And so most people are all working from this reptilian brain versus that frontal cortex that involves thinking and looking at your options and coming up with solutions and problem solving and predicting outcomes based on where you're at, right? We need that frontal brain. But if we're using our reptilian brain, right, then that's going to be activated with a lot of these stressors. And